everyone. It's Stéphane from Luxembourg podcast, and I'm joined today by Stéphane Brun from Game Changer and CareerPlaybook.com. Stéphane, thanks to be my guest today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Hi, Stéphane. Thank you for the invitation. Really glad to be here. About myself, really quickly, in a nutshell, been working in Luxembourg for 10 years. First job in finance. And after a few years, I noticed that I wasn't really made for that. So I made a career move and went into recruitment. I had the opportunity to work for a quite famous recruitment agency, and they teach me a lot. And after a few years, I decided to launch my own activity. So I created a headhunting agency specialized in financial, IT, and tech jobs. And the last 2 years, I concentrate my activity on a new project, which is supporting people on the job market. And I created a methodology to help them find a new job faster and easier, I would say.
Okay, and why did you really wanted to set up your own job? You wanted to do something very particular, or you wanted to work your own way?
Yeah, I wanted to work my own way, and I wanted to make something that where I'm 100% when it's possible of the success and also the failures, but just feeling 100% committed in my day-to-day activities. I didn't want to work for somebody else's objectives. I would say I wanted to achieve what I wanted to do. And I was also looking for freedom, for sure, because I was working in big companies and where your framework is really limited, and sometimes you feel a bit stuck, and I was feeling stuck a lot, and I wasn't feeling really good in there. So
yes, same feeling for me. It's why, and one of the reasons why I decided to set up my own company. And like you said, it's nice to be able to set your own objectives and to be able to look forward to your day-to-day work and not working for somebody else. It's challenging, but also at the same time very exciting.
And it is very exciting, for sure. And it's also something that we hear a lot since 10 years, I would say, the strong trends where people want to leave their job because they feel stuck there. And of course, entrepreneurship seems to be an opportunity here. But at the same time, it's also a big challenge, as you know, to be an entrepreneur. And it's not always as nice as it's sometimes show on the medias or some social medias. It's also a lot of struggles, different one, but yeah.
And what is interesting also, maybe it's interesting for the people that are listening, is that we are both working in a co-working space in Luxembourg. Yeah. And it's how we met. The spirit in this co-working space is quite great because you have a lot of entrepreneurs that are working different fields, and we are able to meet, to discuss, to test new ideas between us. And I think it's great. And I don't know what you think about it.
Yes, the co-working space is definitely a great experience. It's a real pleasure to go there and work there and see other people. And I always say that it's so different compared to working in a company, because in a company, let's face it, sometimes you have to fake having nice relationship with people, and because it's the game, and you're taking your coffee, a colleague is coming, you don't like this person so much because from XYZ, but you have to play a small theater here. In the other co-working space, it's great because it's 100% honest. When you don't like the person, you don't talk to the person, and it's okay. So the person you talk to are the one you do really appreciate, and
And the idea of a co-working space, I think, is quite great because when you start as an entrepreneur, very often you are alone, or maybe you are 2 or 3. And you need also the social interaction and the energy of having people around you, and it's a great way to start your business. And it's also something that is flexible. If you grow, you have more people, you can take more desks. And I think it's when I moved to this co-working space, it was the right move to do, and I met so many interesting people like you. So that's great. So let's go back a bit on your company, Game Changer. First, why maybe the name? Why did you choose the name Game Changer and also Career Playbook?
Uh, because at the beginning, the recruitment agency and the job search methodology were under the same name, which was Game Changer. And yes, I wanted to make an impact in the career of the person. So it's a bit change the game. I'm also a big fan of sports. So Game Changer is coming from the sports industry. It's the turning point during a game, which make that the team is winning. So yeah, Game Changer impacting. This is the roots of the name.
Great. And so Game Changer, how is it different from any other recruitment company that is on the market? How differentiate you from what they are doing?
It's because it's strong specialization on jobs in finance, IT, and tech. Mm-hmm. So that's the differentiation. It's also actually the differentiation is me because I'm the person that is recruiting for the company. So it's coming from the fact that I've been working in finance and I have a strong understanding of the jobs. And this definitely helped me when I have to make some headhunting on LinkedIn or other sources. I am able to really quickly have interesting discussion with professionals in finance because I exactly know what you are talking about. So they like that because it's easier to quickly know if there is a fit between the candidate and the jobs that the mm-hmm. company is proposing. And for the company, it's also very interesting that I understand the jobs because I will not waste their time by presenting people that don't correspond to their needs.
Yeah. What I've noticed is that you have on your website, you have a methodology that is a bit different from what is usually done. You have videos and trainings that can be organized as well. How does it work? Can you explain a bit about it?
Yes, I'm trying to use the tools available right now. Nothing really different regarding the recruitment process because I tried to incorporate the videos during the recruitment process. And when I was working also within Michael Page, was a big leader in the recruitment industry, yeah. We were trying to integrate the video in the recruitment process. And actually we noticed that it wasn't so effective because there are some people who are really good communicator in real life, but yeah. when it's a video, they are absolutely different.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, you're right.
It's difficult. So, and some people, they are normal, average, I would say, in communication in real life, but during the video, for some reason, they glow, they are great. And we noticed that the video can be a strong bias, and especially a negative bias from some people. So that's why I'm not using the video during the recruitment process.
So it's more for as a training that you use it then.
Yeah, I use the video for communication channels. Sometimes I also send videos to clients where I give a quick explanation of what the candidate do, his profile, past experience, accomplishments, what he can bring to the company. It's leveraging the tools we have today to improve the process.
And with the whole situation with the coronavirus, how was the recruitment process? Because I suppose that you did a lot using online tools, videos, and so on. Do you think it has an impact, a negative one or positive one, on the way you are working?
Yes, the COVID-19 definitely had an impact on recruitment. And just to give you some numbers, 70% of companies reduce their recruitment.
Okay.
Only 30% keep the same rhythm. 30%, the other 30%, they froze.
Yeah.
And the rest, they just reduce. And so it's definitely a challenge right now. But it's difficult to give an overview of the recruitment because we must differentiate the different type of jobs, the industry. Yeah. And I think that the company that continue to hire today are either a big player who have strong financials behind so they can continue to invest in recruitment, or young companies who want to grow and take advantage of the current situation. Yeah. And I am working with both type of companies. I'm working with big financial institutions. They know they have to continue to hire right now because recruiting is a momentum. You always get the fruits of what you did 2 months before. And big companies, they know that, plus they have the money, so they continue to hire. Then we have the small, mid-sized startup. They know that the human is central for their success. And they also have a more aggressive approach, which is let's take advantage of this tricky situation where we know that the majority of other companies will freeze and will be a bit in what we call scarcity. And they will take advantage and say, yeah, it's the time to maybe steal good employee in other companies and show them that we are here, even if it's a bit tricky, we are ready to explode. And we will not wait to have more positive signs, because I think right now, nobody knows the future, and we must act right now, having in a head somewhere that, of course, it's possible that it gets more complicated, but at the same time, we should not be stuck.
But, I think we should. I mean, I've discussed with quite a lot of our corporate accounts, and basically they think that rightly or wrongly, I don't know, that they still need to recruit, because they, like you said, they need the momentum, and most of them decided to keep recruiting, maybe reducing a bit the pace, but they know that they will still need some talents, and that if they don't do it now, it will be difficult in a few months' time to recruit when the market is going to be better. And so it's interesting to have your view on it as well. And did you do any recruitment interview using videos, or not at all during the lockdown?
Yes, actually, during the lockdown, it's the first time that I made several recruitments 100% using the video, because before it was part of the process, I would say, for the first step of the recruitment process. And then, of course, people will meet face to face, because we need to meet people. I'm 100% digital. I think it's a great thing, but recruitment is a human thing. You need to meet the person. You need to feel the energy and this kind of things. And I think it's part of it. But during the lockdown, very surprisingly, I had several recruitment without any face-to-face contact.
It went well?
It went well, yes. It went well. I mean, Visio, it's a good thing when you get comfortable with it. I wasn't very comfortable with that first, because I prefer definitely meeting in person. But I'm getting more and more comfortable, and I think it's possible to have great discussion. And
I was the same. I before the lockdown, I didn't really use a lot of videos or video conference, and because of the lockdown, I had to move to to Zoom, to Skype much more, and to do interviews, and to have meetings with my customers via video. And well, it's just a matter of training. You get used to it. Like you said, I miss going to networking event, meeting people.
I know you miss that.
And I mean, it's part of the human being to be able to meet people, and to be only doing videos on the long term is not possible. We need to physically meet people.
We need, and networking is also part of job search or career transition. Yeah, networking is also a big part when you're looking for a job. And I'm working now with people, helping them find a new job, and the networking part is missing. And it's also a challenge, because visual are great, but you only can talk to one people, maybe 10, but it's not as strong as a face-to-face networking event.
Yeah, I've been to I participated to workshops as well online, which is, I mean, the format was working perfectly well. The only thing is that you are missing, being able to ask questions, and then when you have breaks, talk to the participants, and meet new people. And on using videos is not possible. Interesting that you were able to. And good for you that you were able to use videos to do the recruitment.
Yeah, it's also thanks to the company and the candidates, because they are okay with it.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because some companies, I think they would be a bit reluctant to only recruit a person based on.
Well, but they didn't have any choice. If they wanted to recruit, it was the only option.
Well. Yeah, and once again it depends of the type of profile of the person. Yeah. Well, when you're recruiting people who are really technical experts profile, it's a bit less important that the person is a great communicator. So it's okay.
Yeah. And going back to the recruitment field, what advice you would give to someone who wanted to do a career in recruitment? Is it hard? Is it exciting? Do you need to do specific schools, specific training to do that?
I really love my job. I love the headhunting activity. So I would say it's an exciting job. There is no routine. And you don't need specific diplomas. Of course, it's better if you have education because it will help for your general culture. As I said, it's always an asset when you have a strong understanding of the jobs you will recruit, because it gives you more credibility and understanding when you're facing the candidate and the company. And I think it's an industry that has a reputation that is not 100% accurate of what it is in reality, and especially two things. The first one is that recruitment and headhunting jobs, they are really sales job actually, and it's a strong misunderstanding that people have here most of the time. And also when job seekers are dealing with recruitment agency, they sometimes don't understand that the recruitment agency is not here to help them find a job. The recruitment agency job is to help the clients find the candidate. Of course, at the end, the person will get the job. So, but it's part of the process. It's only a results, and only a few get the job. And that's a misunderstanding. And second,
it's like for us as well. When I receive a lot of people sending me requests for assistance in job search, because they think that as we are doing immigration and work permits, we are able to assist them with the job hunting as well, which is not the case at all. So there's a lot of misunderstanding on the market on what is job search, job hunting, headhunters, and it's true that sometimes people are a bit confused with all those jobs and different companies doing different things as well.
And the second thing, I said the first one was it's a really sales-oriented job. The second thing is that it's also a project management job, in terms that you are managing around 10 and 15 different recruitment process at the same time. So you need to be an organized person, because you can sometimes lose track, and you're always following up with the candidates, with the companies, the different candidates, the different companies, and you have all this process. And yes, you need to be able to manage all of this. So I would say these are the two big misconceptions for the jobs. It's really sales oriented and really project management oriented. And as you notice, there are not so much human resources in there.
Yeah, exactly.
You are dealing with human a lot. Of course, you need to be a very empathic person. You need to be curious. You need to love people, because believe me, people can sometimes be really complicated during a process, and it's a variable that you need to master. So.
Yeah, because a candidate can think that he's a perfect match, and then he doesn't he doesn't understand why, and you have a lot of explanation as well to give, I suppose, to why it wasn't the fit, or why they didn't succeed in during the interview, things like that. Do you give a lot of feedback in your job as well, in your company?
Oh yes, we give a lot of feedback, and it's always difficult, because I don't think a lot of headhunters will admit that, but we are human, and we humans sometimes take decisions based on emotions, and then we rationalize the decision with logic, because we need to give facts, numbers, and arguments. But first, it was an emotional decision based on feeling, based on things you can't really explain. And then you back it up with numbers, example, blah, blah, blah. And we face that a lot in recruitment. The managers came back to me and say, I don't want this guy in my team. And of course, my job is to please develop, give me something, because I need to give feedback to the candidates. So yeah, it's not always easy to give. It's not always easy to get the feedback from companies. And sometimes it's a feedback you can't share.
Yeah.
And then it's also how comfortable you are to give a feedback that can hurt the feeling of the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always try to give a fair feedback, but I'm also very paying attention of the emotional level of the person, because I know that job search is a very sensitive moment, and you don't want to come with a very big feedback like I don't know, something very huge, like you are a very bad communicator, or you have you have to be careful.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, because on one hand, you don't want to hurt the feelings. You need to know the person in front of you, but in another way, it's also important that the person knows
exactly.
She's missing, maybe communication skills, that that person could, take extra training or do other things, or make sure that next time they will train to be better on what they were, not good at. If they don't have any feedback, they will continue the same way, and which is a pity, because they cannot, improve.
Yes. But here it's a very, very interesting and long topic, because feedback is always what job seekers are talking about, and very mad against recruiters or hiring managers because they don't get feedback. With my experience being on the two sides of the table and also working within the HR departments, I think that feedback are a bit overrated, because when you're a confident person, when you know your value, when you know what you can bring to the company, it's not really important to have the feedback from a person that just read your CV once or just read your LinkedIn profile. Yeah, I mean, it's not important. It's a different situation when you had 2-3 interviews, then it gets really personal. Then yes, the company must give a feedback.
Yeah, it's more that part, because of course,
no, definitely,
CV has been rejected. Well, it's they had maybe 100 candidates. Bad luck, you were ejected. But when you had, like my son had 5 interviews and he didn't get his internship, and the feedback was just you didn't get the job. Wow. So when you had 5 interviews for an internship and you don't have any feedback, then you're wondering what you did wrong, or maybe you didn't do anything wrong. But it would have been good to have, a kind of small feedback about the whole situation.
No, it's important. It's important
to improve and to try to do better next time. Or maybe
it's important to
yeah, or maybe because the job you were interviewing for was really not for you, and you need also to know about that you shouldn't, try to get the job you think you are good at or that you want, but you are not the perfect fit, and you should look for something else.
But it's a very interesting topic, because I noticed that most of the time, job seekers, when they don't get the job, they think it's their fault. And it's normal. It's logic. You say, I didn't get the job. It's my fault. What did I do wrong? But as a recruiter, I know that most of the time, it's not the candidate's fault, actually. It's external thing that happens. And believe me, you will be surprised the multiple reasons for which a candidate cannot be taken. And not based on the candidate at all. There are a lot of things. It's a decision coming from the management. It's a budget thing. It's a strategy change. It's another candidate that is just better. And it's not your fault if they came with a better guy. And sometimes it's a personality fit. And it happens so many reasons that I always say to the candidate, it's not you. It's not your fault. I'm not saying you should not improve and try to make some iteration in your process and so on, of course, but a lot of time it's not even the fault of the candidate.
Okay. Let's come back about your journey as an entrepreneur. So you set up your company, and maybe what didn't you expect when you set up your company and became an entrepreneur? Any difficulties, any things that you didn't expect during your journey?
I didn't expect a lot of things. Now it's been 4 years, and to be honest, it's not easy. And I know that today there is a romantic vision of entrepreneur on the social media. As you see a lot of young, successful people with big cars. But the truth is that it's really difficult. And you are really quickly facing your limits. And you are really quickly facing doubt, the way you see things, reorganization, the way you manage your time, the way you think. And I faced a lot of challenge. One of the first one that I really didn't expect is that what you said at the beginning with the co-working space. You are so alone. And you realize how much your work is important in your social life.
Yeah.
Your work is your social life in most cases.
Yeah, you are right. And I remember, I think, because I always worked for big companies and I had a lot of colleagues. And I remember after, I think it was 6-7 months working alone, I remember one day I just jumped in my car, went in first coffee, and took a coffee, stayed here for 1 hour reading the newspaper, just having people around me because I was so alone. And not able to communicate with people. So I clearly understand. And it's why I decided to move to the co-working space, because we were alone in an office, which was not the best thing to be motivated and to have, ideas from other people as well.
And you're also alone in the way you think, because now you're an entrepreneur, you are facing it's like when you're looking for a job. When you're looking for a job, you are in a specific situation, and people who have a job today, they seems to want to help you. They are supportive, but they're not looking for a job right now. They're not in this place where they are full of fear, questions. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's the same. You just sometimes don't sleep at night because you don't know how you will pay the bills. You don't see a clear vision of the next step. And sometimes you can feel alone. That's why the co-working space, on top of meeting other people, you also meet other people in the same situation. So yeah, it's very, very good thing, the co-working space, definitely.
And what is there one thing that you wish you had known when you started as an entrepreneur that could have helped you from the beginning, or everything was clear from the start, or because sometimes you have a clear vision of what you want to do and how the life of an entrepreneur is, but at the end the reality is not always so bright, and sometimes you wish you had known things before. So is there any specific thing that you would wish you had known at the beginning?
A lot of things, actually. I don't even know what to begin with, but
maybe main ones.
I think organization and productivity was my biggest challenge. And I was coming for big companies, so I already have a structure, a way to work. So I think I was in the average in terms of productivity. But when you're an entrepreneur, average is not enough. You need to be a top performer. And it's sometimes people ask me, what do you think is the one thing to become an entrepreneur? Do I have the DNA of an entrepreneur? And I always ask them, are you a top performer in your company? Because in every company, there is a person that is super active, getting a lot of results, production. And you need to be this person if you launch your own company. And it took me time to achieve that. And I tried a lot of system, organization, process, and so on. And yes, I wish I got that earlier in the process, the organization.
It's interesting what you're saying, because I've set up my business in a field that I already known, where big companies that were very good at processes, systems, and so on. So I was able to set up most of it in my new company. The main issue is the planification of your time, the organization of your time. and it's sometimes you are going too deep in some of the tasks and losing time on tasks that are more important.
Mm-hmm.
You only have 24 hours in a day, and part of it you are supposed to sleep. So you have to be very careful. And I had a discussion with someone yesterday about that subject, that I start to think that I need to be planning a bit more my day and my week, but really putting slots in my calendar, saying, okay, that day I'm doing.
Okay. I see this.
Yeah, because sometimes it's, of course, when you have things that will happen, you will have to change it. But I think I need to formalize it a bit more. And as an entrepreneur, I think it's important as well, because otherwise you lose track and you go in every, in every direction, and you don't perform as well as you should do.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And I think the other big challenge is facing yourself, because I always say that we are our worst enemy, because if our mind is not supporting us, we can do anything, and we are our worst enemy. And these last 4 years, I learned so much about myself, and I was put in so many situations where I had to face the devil and the other side of me that don't want to do the work, that is lazy, that is only looking for short results, that is can be very negative. And it's also difficult because you have this constant discussion between those two. And I mean, this is for everybody. It's not only about entrepreneurship, but during entrepreneurship, you will have this discussion all the time.
Yeah, because you don't have anyone to report to except yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
you are responsible for what you're doing on a daily basis. And of course, if you don't do it, well, you can only blame yourself. You cannot, you don't have a boss on the top who will tell you, okay, today you have to do this and this, or, put you back in the right direction. And it's important. Yeah, like you said, you can be your worst enemy if you don't, put yourself in a kind of box to make sure that you work in the right track.
Yes, and the other thing is what's called the imposter syndrome, because when you're alone, you're only selling your person, and you can't hide behind a big name. I was working in companies with very big names that everybody knew. So I would say, hi, I'm Stéphane from Michael Page. I'm Stéphane from here. So people, they don't even listen to the I'm Stéphane. They just hear Michael Page. Oh, okay, I know this company. I know Coca-Cola, Google. It's unconsciously reminds them of a certain level of quality and so on. And now it's just, yeah, I'm Stéphane. And actually you say the same, I'm Stéphane. Yeah. And you can...
Personal branding, you cannot hide. It's yourself. It's your personal brand. So game changer is Stéphane Brun. For me, Lux Relo, it's Stéphane Compin. We are, it's intricate. So you cannot, like you said, you cannot hide.
You cannot hide. And sometimes I think we all have that. We are scared that somebody came and say, hey, you are fraud, you don't know nothing. And I think it's something we all have, because I have this discussion a lot and with people who were super successful. This imposter syndrome, we all have it somewhere. And when I'm interviewing people for a new job, sometimes I can feel that they don't have 100% confidence of what they can do and bring, and it's normal. We all have that. But once again, when you're an entrepreneur, you're facing this every time, because you have to establish the prices of your service. You have to explain the results the person will get from the service. So if you're not coming from a place where you're really convinced and confident about what you can bring, it's also very challenging.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a lot of psychological and mindset war, but with the years, you begin to resolve each of them one after the other. That's why I think that resilience and the fact that always show up every day and do the work, even if it's not a good day, I think it's the ultimate best thing you can do, because at the end you will win if you continue. Sorry?
Yeah, and stay positive as well.
Yeah, and always continue and keep the work, and it will come.
So in your journey for the past 4 years, any big failure that you didn't expect and that was a bit difficult to overcome, or how did you overcome if you had any difficulty?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake I made was in my marketing strategy. because I was listening to a lot of people online that were explaining how to get more prospects / leads via the internet. And a lot of them were suggesting to create a lot of content to get leads. And I think I focused too much on that the 2 first year, trying to create articles, videos, and so on. And once again, it's what I said, I wasn't well organized. So I spent too much time on this and I didn't get the return on investment I should have. And it's one of the biggest mistake I made, because it cost me a lot of time. And I didn't get the return on that. I think it was better to take the phone and stop writing articles and take the phone and call maybe 10% instead of writing this article. But in my head, this article would reach thousands of people and 100 of them will call me back. Well, didn't work at all. So it's interesting, because it shows that sometimes when you listen to the wrong person and the wrong source, it can really harm you. But it's my fault, because I was so convinced they were right and I was seeing that it was working for them. I'm not saying content doesn't work. Content work, and you know that better than me.
It depends. It can depend on the industry. It can depend on the content you are writing. It can also depend if you are consistent in writing it or not. So there's a lot of things that can impact the way you communicate and how you can have any return. But I think you cannot have only one channel of marketing. You need to have, especially nowadays with different generation, you need to use multiple channels, direct calls, emailing and things like that, because you're not sure that one thing will work for everybody. And I made also the same mistake at the beginning. You're just focusing on one way of selling, and it wasn't the proper one to do.
Oh, it's a big challenge today, the visibility, because the online world is so full of noise, of information. We get massively, they are throwing so much thing at us. I mean, even our brain are not ready to get so much information. So as an entrepreneur and also as a job seeker, you need to be visible. And today it's a real challenge, because there are so much things going on. Look at LinkedIn. You are a big user of LinkedIn. And yes, you see your wall right now is so full of information, of posts. Everybody is posting today.
And it's the difficulty is to have a way of doing it so that it doesn't impact your day-to-day work, but enables you to still be visible. So it's a big challenge to have the right balance, the right mix in terms of marketing and sales. And like you said, so much communication that to stand out of the crowd, you need to be different. And what you're doing as Game Changer is different from what a lot of the traditional recruitment companies are doing on the market.
Yes, you need to be different today. There is no other choice. You need to get very good at something, and first choose your niche, what you want to do, and then try to get very good at it. Because if you stay too general, you're just like everybody else and you're not standing from the crowd. Yeah, for sure. It's easy to say it, but it's still something I'm working on right now, to be honest, because I think you can always improve the message. You can always improve the people you target, because with experience, you know where you will, what are the type of person you can really help and help get the good results. And yeah, once again, it's also something, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Maybe on a more personal thing, do you have any passion apart from your job that you don't normally share with your colleagues or network? Are you doing things outside of work that you can share with us?
Of course, I'm a big basketball fan. I'm a big NBA follower, and I don't know if you watched The Last Dance on Netflix.
No, I didn't.
It was okay. You should watch that, because for entrepreneur, it's definitely a big source of motivation, because we all know Michael Jordan for what he was, big athlete, successful basketball player. But and I love this, but is very impressive. What's very impressive is the way he thinks, and he has such a competitive mindset, and sometimes he was even harassing people and very very aggressive, or indeed offense his colleague.
I think
but
there's a lot of, there's a lot of interactions and similarities between the sports and entrepreneurship, because you need to have a strong mindset, and you need to be consistent. You need to move forward. So yeah, I'll try to watch it, because I always interested.
That's a great way. You will not regret it. And sports, it's very important. I've been always making sports, or I'm a big fan for sure. But even during recruitments, I always have a look if the person makes some sports, because, and especially people who make high level competition sports, because those type of people, they always have the same mindset. They are competitors.
Yeah.
They know that they have to train super hard before seeing the first results. So they are hard worker. They love the pain. They love the effort. And of course, in companies, these are also the type of person that will succeed, because they know that there is no shortcut, short results. It's a longer term game, and they are good to play it, and they are strong, because when you are competitors, you need to be strong, because you will face so much failures during competitions that at the end it's you get stronger.
You need to reinvent yourself, and you need to overcome the failure. And like an entrepreneur, you fail, or somebody in a business, you fail, you need to be ready to get out and fight back again. Do you play any basket, or?
Yes, I still play, but just for fun. I'm old now, so I try to play only with old people like me. They're not so fast, and I enjoy I enjoyed, it's a big word, but it's this pause, 2-month pause, allow me to do a bit more forest biking. So yeah, it was good to be back in the nature, I would say, and be more in the forest. And
that was a great time I used as well. Enjoying myself, going out and running, and playing table tennis with my sons as well, which I didn't do for ages. So we have competition against us every day, so that's fun.
It was a very, very challenging time, and I think we just talk about failure and challenges, and I think this break will accelerate a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the corporate world / the job market was changing since 10 years, since 2008 and the subprime crisis. This last 10 years was also very different from what we had before. But I think what happened this last month will create an acceleration of change. And I always said, the job market is changing, and there will be no turning back.
Yeah, I think there will be a big change on the job market. Because I'm reading a lot of articles about people saying, well, I'm not ready to go back to my work the way it was. Or people that, for them, home working was too difficult, but for others, it was just, fantastic, and they don't want to go back to the same life, taking the train, the tube every morning, and losing time, and they want to have to be able to work from home. So it's going to be an interesting time for the job seekers, but also for the companies that will have to adapt, and also the recruiters that will have to adapt to the new situation.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, it's the first time in my life that I have 2 months where I can really focus on myself, and I wasn't interrupted or notified with my phone. And I think it was the same for all of us. And we live lives that are so quick. We are ahead in our work, and here we're the time to take the time, have a breath and think. And like you said, people will take big decisions.
So so maybe lastly, what are your 2-3 best tips or advice that you could give to our listeners wanting to launch their own business or to start as an entrepreneur? Is there, any tips that could help them?
I think the first one would be to launch something that you love, because sometimes business creator, they just launch something because of the business opportunity.
Yeah.
And yes, you need to launch something that you love and you're passionate about. And it's not because I believe that you are happier when you work in something that you're passionate, because it's not always the case. But it will help you to make the second most important thing, that is showing up every day and continue to work every day. And if you're not passionate, you will not be able to do that. So that's the second tips, is continue every day, every day, never stop, keep positive. And the other thing, like I said, is be a top performance, super productive, super organized, able to get results. Very, very important. And the last thing I would say, this is the most important, and this is where I'm here right now. It's try to fail quick. You need to fail, because we don't play to not lose, we play to win. It's from Harvey Specter and Suits. And I think it's important. And the objective is to fail quick, try a lot of things quick. And if it doesn't work, move on. And don't wait, because it's also something I did. I was waiting too much to launch videos and so on. And now I do it, it doesn't work. Next, because the quicker you fail, the quicker you get the feedback, and the quicker you can improve.
Yeah, and talking about videos, it doesn't need to be perfect. And I mean, at the beginning, I always thought, I need to be perfect, perfect video, perfect recording, and so on and so on. But if you do that, then you don't move forward. You just lose your time. You have to move, try it. It works. If it works, go. Continue. If it doesn't work, move to something else. And you are right.
Exactly.
You need to fail a few things and then find the one thing that will work, and just push on it.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. It was great to have you on the podcast. If our listeners want to connect with you, what is the best way to do that? Website, LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn is a good way to connect. I use it a lot. I'm very present in there. So if people have any question about the job market, and they should feel free to contact.
Okay, so I will put your details, LinkedIn details on the notes of the podcast. So if people want to connect with you, they will be able to do that. Okay. Thanks for joining the podcast, Stéphane. I really enjoy our discussions. It was really insightful, and I hope it will be also the same for our listeners. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Stéphane. It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.